Texas isn't just cowboy boots and barbecue. Beneath its surface lie secrets so bizarre that even lifelong Texans have no clue they exist. Hidden deserts wetter than rainforests, ghost rivers, singing sand, and places where physics itself seems broken. Let's uncover 50 shocking truths. At number 50, we start with something that'll blow your mind. The tiny town of Tulia, in the Texas Panhandle, records winter temperatures colder than many Alaskan cities. Yes, you heard that right. Alaska gets beaten by Texas when it comes to freezing cold. This isn't some fluke either. Tulia sits at such a unique elevation and position that Arctic air masses slam straight down with nothing to stop them. Meanwhile, coastal Alaska stays warmer thanks to ocean currents. Texas winning the Cold War? Nobody saw that coming. Coming in at number 49. Deep in the Guadalupe Mountains, there's something ancient waiting. We're talking about a 400-million-year-old fossilized reef. That's right, mountains in Texas used to be an ocean floor teeming with prehistoric sea life. Walk through these mountains today, and you're literally stepping on the remains of an ancient underwater world. Fossils of marine creatures are embedded everywhere in the rock. Texas was once completely submerged, and the proof is still there, frozen in time for anyone willing to look closely. At number 48, things get dangerous in the Big Thicket region. Natural quicksand pits hide throughout this dense forest, and they're not like the movie version. These pits are powerful enough to completely swallow entire trees, pulling them down into the earth like they never existed. Hikers who don't know the area can stumble into these death traps without warning. The ground looks solid until suddenly it isn't. Entire logs vanish beneath the surface as the sand behaves like liquid. It's nature's perfect trap, and it's been claiming victims for centuries in silence. Number 47 takes us to the mysterious Zone of Silence, near Marfa. This area has baffled scientists for decades, because radio signals simply die here. Your phone won't work, walkie-talkies go silent, and even compasses start spinning randomly. It's like technology gives up completely. Nobody can fully explain why this happens. Some blame magnetic anomalies in the rocks below, others point to unusual mineral deposits. All we know for sure is that modern communication equipment becomes useless the moment you enter this zone. It's Texas's own Bermuda Triangle, sitting right in plain sight. At number 46, let's talk about something you'd never expect. Texas has over 15 different distinct soil types across its landscape. That's more soil variety than most entire countries have. From red clay to black gumbo to pure sand, it's all here in one state. This crazy soil diversity is why Texas can grow basically anything. Different regions support completely different crops and ecosystems, because the ground itself is fundamentally different every few hundred miles. It's like having 15 different countries stacked into one state, all thanks to what's beneath your feet. Number 45 brings us to Enchanted Rock, and this place lives up to its name in the creepiest way possible. At night, this massive granite dome starts making sounds, not wind sounds or animal sounds, but actual creaking and groaning noises that echo across the landscape. Native Americans thought spirits lived in the rock, but science has a different explanation. As the granite cools rapidly after sunset, it contracts and shifts, creating these eerie sounds. Still, when you're standing there in the darkness, hearing rocks scream, scientific explanations don't make it less unsettling. At number 44, we find something that shouldn't exist this far south. The Guadalupe Peak area contains the southernmost permanent snowfield in all of North America. Snow that literally never completely melts, sitting in shaded crevices year-round, right here in Texas. This defies everything people think they know about Texas geography. While the rest of the state bakes under brutal summer heat, this tiny pocket of permanent ice survives in deep shadow. It's a frozen time capsule that's been there for potentially thousands of years, hidden from the sun. Coming in at number 43. Prepare for a contradiction that breaks your brain. The Chihuahuan Desert, which covers a massive chunk of Texas, is actually the wettest desert on the entire North American continent. A wet desert sounds impossible, but here we are. This desert receives more rainfall than supposedly wetter regions because of its unique position and elevation. Moisture gets trapped by surrounding mountains and dumps right here. So you get a landscape that's technically desert by definition, but receives enough rain to support surprisingly lush plant life. Nature's paradox. At number 42, hidden deep in the hill country, there's a place that looks like fantasy made real. Hamilton Pool is a collapsed underground river grotto with a natural limestone dome overhead. Waterfalls pour through openings in the ceiling into a crystal-clear pool below. Thousands of years ago, the roof of an underground river gave way, creating this natural cathedral. Stalactites still hang from the remaining dome, dripping water that's been filtering through rock for centuries. It's the kind of place that doesn't look real, even when you're standing in it. Number 41 takes us to Saratoga, where the ground itself is alive with something ancient. Natural tar pits bubble and ooze here, just like California's famous La Brea tar pits. Sticky black tar has been seeping to the surface for thousands of years, trapping anything unlucky enough to wander in. Scientists have found bones of extinct animals preserved in this tar, creatures that died here tens of thousands of years ago. The tar works like a time machine, perfectly preserving whatever falls in, and it's still active today, still bubbling, still waiting to trap the next victim. At number 40, we hit something that literally split Texas in two. The Balcones fault line runs through the state like a geological knife cut. East of this fault, you get one version of Texas. West of it, you get something completely different in terrain and climate. This isn't just a crack in the ground. It's a fundamental dividing line that separates ecosystems, water sources, and even the type of rock beneath your feet. Cross this fault and you're essentially entering a different world, all within the same state borders. Texas is literally two lands in one. Coming in at number 39, scattered across West Texas, are mysterious stone walls that most people never question. But these aren't walls built by ranchers. They're ancient volcanic dikes, vertical sheets of hardened magma that punched through the earth millions of years ago. When softer surrounding rock eroded away over time, these hard volcanic intrusions remain standing like walls. People drive past them thinking they're man-made barriers, having no clue they're looking at the frozen blood of ancient volcanoes. The Earth's violent past is still visible if you know what to look for. At number 38, beneath the surface of Texas lies something absolutely massive. The Ogallala Aquifer is an underground ocean holding more fresh water than Lake Huron. Yes, an entire Great Lakes worth of water is hiding below ground in Texas right now. This aquifer stretches across 8 states, but a huge portion sits right under Texas soil. It's the lifeblood for millions of people and countless farms. Without it, huge sections of Texas would be uninhabitable desert. We're literally living on top of a hidden sea that keeps everything alive. Number 37 reveals a canyon system that blows minds. Palo Duro Canyon is the second largest canyon system in the entire United States. Not third, not fifth, second. Only the Grand Canyon beats it in size, and most Americans have never even heard of it. This canyon stretches for over 100 miles, with walls dropping 800 feet straight down. It's been carved over millions of years by water and wind. You could fit entire cities inside this canyon system, yet it remains relatively unknown compared to its Arizona cousin. Texas keeps its secrets well. At number 36, Texas beaches do something absolutely wild. Entire sand dunes appear and disappear overnight due to bizarre tidal patterns and wind combinations. A dune 15 feet tall can be completely gone by morning, or a flat beach can suddenly grow a massive dune from nowhere. Beach houses that were inland yesterday can wake up at the water's edge today. The coastline is in constant motion, reshaping itself faster than anywhere else in the country. Nothing is permanent on a Texas beach. The land itself is liquid, flowing and changing with every tide. Coming in at number 35, the Devil's River contains water so impossibly clear that you can see 30 feet straight down to the bottom. This water is clearer than the Caribbean, clearer than most tropical paradises people pay thousands to visit. And it's right here in Texas. The river stays this clear because it's fed by underground springs that filter water through limestone for decades before it emerges. No sediment, no pollution, just pure crystalline water. Fish swimming at the bottom look like they're floating in air. It's one of the clearest rivers anywhere on Earth. At number 34, there's a region called the Cross Timbers that scientists still can't fully explain. Forests and prairies alternate in strips for no apparent reason. Dense woods suddenly give way to open grassland, then back to forest again, in a pattern that makes no ecological sense. Researchers have studied this for decades without finding a definitive answer. The soil doesn't change, the rainfall is consistent, yet the vegetation switches back and forth like someone drew lines on a map. It's one of nature's unsolved puzzles, hiding in plain sight across North Texas. Number 33 is haunting in a different way. Over 200 ghost towns are scattered across Texas, and mesquite forests are slowly swallowing every single one. Buildings that once bustled with life are now being consumed by thorny trees that grow through walls and roofs. These towns died for various reasons. Water dried up, railroads changed routes, or industries collapsed. Now nature is erasing the evidence that humans were ever there. In another 50 years, many of these towns will be completely invisible, buried beneath mesquite and memories. At number 32, the mighty Rio Grande does something shocking. In several sections, this iconic river completely dries up every single summer. The riverbed turns to dust and rocks. You can walk across it without getting your feet wet. The border between two nations becomes a dirt path. Upstream water use and drought conditions drain the river faster than it can refill. Towns on both sides watch their lifeline disappear seasonally. It's a preview of what climate change might do to other major rivers. The Rio Grande is dying in sections, and most people have no idea. Coming in at number 31. Here's something that'll shock Texas pride. Caddo Lake is the only natural lake in the entire state. Every single other lake you see in Texas is man-made. All those beautiful reservoirs and swimming holes, artificial. Caddo is the only one nature created. Texas dammed rivers and created reservoirs to solve water problems. But natural lakes were never part of the landscape. Caddo formed naturally from a logjam that backed up water thousands of years ago. It's a haunting cypress-filled maze that represents the only real lake Texas ever had on its own. At number 30, deep underground, Texas limestone caves contain formations that are still actively growing right now. Stalactites and stalagmites add microscopic layers every single year, continuing a process that's been happening for millions of years. The caves are alive in their own geological way, water dripping through limestone deposits, tiny amounts of minerals with each drop. Over centuries, these deposits build the incredible formations we see. Some caves in Texas contain formations so delicate that a touch can destroy thousands of years of growth. They're fragile artworks that nature is still sculpting today. Number 29 takes us to the Lost Pines Forest east of Austin, and it's mysterious in the truest sense. This isolated patch of pine forest is genetically separated from other pine forests by hundreds of miles. Scientists cannot figure out how it got here or why it survives. The trees are genetically distinct from their relatives, suggesting thousands of years of isolation. Something in the past created this forest island, and then conditions changed so it couldn't spread. Now it sits there, a genetic mystery surrounded by terrain that shouldn't support it. Nature's own puzzle piece. At number 28, standing in Texas waters are bald cypress trees, older than the pyramids of Egypt. These ancient giants have been alive for over 4,000 years, silently witnessing everything from Native American tribes to modern civilization. They're living time capsules. Their twisted trunks and massive root systems have survived droughts, floods, hurricanes, and human expansion. Some are so old their exact age is hard to determine. These trees were already ancient when Jesus walked the earth. They'll likely still be standing long after we're gone. Coming in at number 27, Texas contains 5 completely distinct climate zones within its borders. You can experience humid subtropical weather, arid desert, semi-arid steppe, and even some highland climates all without leaving the state. It's like 5 different countries merged into one. Drive from East Texas to El Paso, and you'll pass through climate zones that normally require international travel to experience. This diversity is why Texas can grow such varied crops and support wildly different ecosystems. Few places on Earth pack this much climate variety into one political boundary. At number 26, the Manuhan sandhills do something magical. These sand dunes actually sing when you walk on them. The sand grains create musical tones and humming sounds as they slide against each other. It's one of the strangest natural phenomena you'll ever hear. The specific size and roundness of these sand grains create the perfect conditions for sound. When disturbed, they vibrate at just the right frequency to produce these eerie tones. Ancient peoples thought spirits lived in the dunes. Standing there hearing sand sing, you might start believing them too. Number 25 reveals some of the oldest exposed rock in North America. The Llano Uplift contains stone over 1 billion years old, pushed up from deep underground by geological forces. You can literally touch rock that formed when Earth was still a young planet. This ancient stone predates complex life on Earth. When these rocks formed, the planet had barely any oxygen in the atmosphere. Now they sit exposed on the surface, offering a window into Earth's distant past. It's mind-bending to realize you're touching something a billion years old. At number 24, Natural Bridge Caverns contains a land bridge that's been standing for thousands of years underground. This massive natural arch spans a cavern without any human support or intervention. It's just been sitting there in darkness, holding up the earth above it since ancient times. The bridge formed from collapsed cave ceiling that happened to break in just the right way to create an arch. Most cave collapses just pile up rocks, but this one created architecture. Thousands of years later, it's still standing strong, a monument built by chance and physics. Coming in at number 23, there are places in Texas where 3 completely different ecosystems meet at a single point. Desert, forest, and grassland all converge in the same spot. Walk a few feet in any direction and you're in a totally different world. These convergence points create incredible biodiversity as plants and animals from different ecosystems interact. Species that normally never meet are suddenly neighbors. It's like finding 3 different countries sharing a single border point, except it's nature doing the dividing, not politics. At number 22, the Caprock Escarpment creates a vertical wall over 1,000 feet tall that runs across the entire Texas Panhandle. It's a cliff face that seems to appear from nowhere, marking the edge of the high plains like a massive geological staircase. This escarpment formed from erosion, eating away at softer rock, leaving harder caprock standing like a fortress wall. Early explorers hit this barrier and had to find ways around or over it. Today it creates one of the most dramatic landscape changes you can drive through in America. Number 21 is genuinely terrifying. Jacob's Well is a bottomless spring that divers have been trying to fully explore for decades, and they still haven't reached the end. The shaft goes down and down into darkness, and nobody knows exactly how deep it goes. Multiple divers have died trying to map this underwater cave system. The passages narrow and twist in ways that trap people. Even with modern equipment, the full extent remains a mystery. It's a hole in the earth that refuses to reveal its secrets, claiming lives from those who push too deep. At number 20, South Texas holds the largest contiguous mesquite forest on planet Earth. Millions of acres of these thorny trees stretch as far as you can see. What started as scattered brush has grown into a forest that dominates the landscape and chokes out almost everything else. Mesquite spreads aggressively and is nearly impossible to kill. Ranchers have fought it for generations and lost. Now it's an unstoppable green ocean of thorns. This forest wasn't here 200 years ago. It's a recent invasion that shows how quickly nature can completely transform a landscape. Coming in at number 19, parts of the Texas High Plains sit at higher elevation than Denver, Colorado. Yes, sections of supposedly flat Texas are actually higher above sea level than the mile-high city. The Panhandle reaches elevations over 5,400 feet. Most people think of Texas as low and flat, but the high plains are anything but. The air is thinner up here, the weather more extreme. You can get altitude sickness in Texas just like in the Rockies. It completely destroys the stereotype of Texas geography. At number 18, islands in the Gulf of Mexico appear and disappear with major storms. These barrier islands are here one year, gone the next, then back again after another storm. The coastline is constantly being rewritten by hurricanes and tropical systems. Entire islands vanish beneath storm surge, getting completely submerged or broken apart by waves. Then new islands form from sand deposited elsewhere. Maps of the Texas coast become outdated within months. Nothing is permanent when you're dealing with the raw power of Gulf hurricanes. Number 17 reveals that the Edwards Plateau holds the highest concentration of karst caves anywhere on Earth. More caves per square mile than any other place on the planet. The entire plateau is essentially Swiss cheese underground, riddled with caverns and passages. Limestone dissolved over millions of years created this underground maze. New caves are still being discovered regularly, because there are simply too many to map. Some connect to others in vast networks. Beneath your feet while driving across the plateau are entire worlds of darkness waiting to collapse. At number 16, Texas has waterfalls that flow upward during severe storms. The Gorman Falls area experiences such powerful updrafts during major weather events that water gets blown back up over the cliff edge instead of falling down. Gravity itself seems to reverse. Wind speeds during these storms hit the cliff face and shoot straight up with incredible force. Any water coming over the edge gets caught in this updraft and blown skyward in reverse waterfalls. It's a temporary phenomenon that completely breaks what we expect water to do. Coming in at number 15, the Chisos Mountains hold a unique distinction. They're the only mountain range entirely contained within a United States national park. The whole range, from base to peak, sits inside Big Bend National Park boundaries. No other mountains can claim this. This isolation has protected these mountains from development and kept them pristine. Plants and animals here exist nowhere else, because the mountains are an island of habitat surrounded by desert. It's a biological laboratory that's been running undisturbed for thousands of years. At number 14, the tiny town of Langtree experiences something physically bizarre. A natural wind tunnel effect caused by surrounding canyon walls makes wind speeds triple as air funnels through the gap. A gentle breeze becomes a violent gust in seconds. Buildings have to be specially reinforced to handle these sudden wind explosions. The town sits right in nature's wind amplifier, where canyon geography turns normal weather into something dangerous. Trees grow bent and twisted from constant battering. Living here means fighting wind every single day. Number 13 gets mysterious again. Texas has underground rivers that flow beneath the surface, and we've never fully mapped them. These hidden waterways move through cave systems and limestone channels that humans haven't explored. Some are too dangerous, others simply too remote. These rivers are why springs appear in unexpected places. Water travels underground for miles before bubbling to the surface far from where it went under. Some of these hidden rivers might be huge, but we'll never know without exploring cave systems that could collapse at any moment. At number 12, Texas is home to the largest roadrunner population on Earth by an enormous margin. These iconic birds thrive in Texas terrain like nowhere else. If you want to see roadrunners in the wild, Texas is basically the only place that matters. The combination of desert, scrubland, and prey availability makes Texas perfect roadrunner habitat. They're everywhere if you know where to look, sprinting across roads and hunting lizards. The cartoon got the location right. Texas owns the roadrunner like no other place on the planet. Coming in at number 11, parts of West Texas have gone over 400 consecutive days without a single drop of rain. More than a year of absolute drought where the sky refuses to give up any water. The land cracks and everything turns to dust. These extreme droughts make the region technically one of the driest places in North America. Plants and animals have evolved incredible survival strategies to handle year-plus dry spells. Water becomes more valuable than gold when you're staring down 400 rainless days. At number 10, Muleshoe Bend does something that seems physically impossible. River currents actually run backward here twice daily. The water reverses direction and flows upstream before switching back. It's like watching time itself rewind. This happens because of unique geography and tidal influences that create pressure changes. The water backs up, slows, stops, then starts flowing the opposite direction before eventually switching back to normal. Boats have to time their passage carefully or fight against backwards current, nature's own reverse gear. Number 9 is perfect for anyone who thinks bats are rare. Texas has more bat species than any other state in America. 33 different species call Texas home, from tiny ones that fit on your thumb to massive ones with 3-foot wingspans. This diversity exists because Texas has so many different habitats that each bat species finds its perfect niche somewhere in the state. Caves, forests, deserts, bridges, they're all here, all occupied by different bat species. Texas is basically bat heaven, the world capital of bat biodiversity. At number 8, the Devil's River Canyon system contains a natural land maze that'll get you lost even with GPS. Identical-looking canyon walls twist and turn back on themselves. Every direction looks the same, and passages loop around to create a landscape trap. Hikers have wandered for days trying to find their way out of sections of this maze. The rock walls are too high to climb and too uniform to navigate by. You need marked trails, or you'll become another person who disappeared into the canyons and never came out. Coming in at number 7, the Matagorda Peninsula is literally moving. This barrier island shifts westward about 15 feet every single year. It's migrating down the coast like a massive land creature, pushed by currents and waves that never stop working. Houses built on the peninsula's eastern edge eventually fall into the Gulf as the land moves away beneath them. The western side gains new beach as sand deposits build up. In a century, this peninsula will be miles from where it started. The land itself is traveling. At number 6, beneath Lake Amistad's surface is something incredible. Flooded caverns form an underground lake that's actually larger than Lake Austin, an entire lake hidden beneath another lake. Divers can explore this drowned cave system if they're brave enough and properly trained. When the reservoir filled, it flooded massive cave systems that had been dry for thousands of years. Now they're underwater worlds of chambers and passages that few people will ever see. It's a hidden lake that only exists because we created the lake above it. Number 5 is genuinely wild from a geology standpoint. Texas sits on 5 different tectonic plate meeting points. 5 separate pieces of Earth's crust come together underneath this state. It's a geological intersection like almost nowhere else on the planet. This is why Texas has such varied geology and occasional earthquake activity. Different plates grinding together create faults, mountains, and underground stress. The state sits on one of Earth's most complex geological jigsaw puzzles, with pieces moving in different directions beneath your feet. At number 4, Big Bend's Santa Elena Canyon walls do something beautiful and strange. At sunset, they glow bright orange from a specific type of lichen that only grows there. This lichen exists nowhere else on Earth, making the canyon walls light up like fire. The lichen needs the exact combination of moisture, minerals, and sunlight that only this canyon provides. As the sun sets, the orange intensifies into an almost supernatural glow. It's a living paint that nature applies only to these specific rocks, creating art that can't be replicated. Coming in at number 3, from the air, you can see fairy rings of vegetation scattered across Texas that are completely invisible from ground level. These perfect circles of plants form patterns that only make sense from above. Nobody fully understands why they form. Some theories involve fungus networks, underground directing where plants grow. Others suggest water distribution patterns or mineral deposits. Whatever the cause, these rings appear across the state in formations too perfect to be random. Nature is drawing circles only visible from the sky. At number 2, Texas contains the exact geographic center of North America's migratory bird flyways. Millions of birds from hundreds of species funnel through Texas during migration season. If you're a bird traveling between continents, you're probably flying over Texas. This makes Texas one of the most important bird habitats on Earth. Species that nest in Canada and winter in South America all pass through here. The sky fills with wings twice a year in one of nature's greatest spectacles. Texas is the highway system for the bird world. And finally, at number 1, here's the truth that ties everything together. Texas has more geographic diversity than any United States state except California. You can experience deserts, forests, mountains, beaches, canyons, and swamps without ever crossing the state line. Most people need to travel internationally to see this much variety. Texas gives you an entire planet's worth of landscapes in one place. From frozen peaks to tropical coasts, from ancient canyons to singing dunes, it's all here. That's why Texas keeps so many secrets. There's simply too much to know.